I think we're gonna move on to finish out the pod with our a new segment of the show. I'm sorry, Will, that you have to go through this, but the a new segment on the show because I found myself obviously I'm with Chris and Carter every week. These are two guys that are hockey coaches, grew up in the game, playing the game, living the game, and I kind of approached it from more of a fan and then getting more into it and watching a lot more with more detail and stuff like that. But I still have questions. I still have things that were eventually I learned, but I feel like the hockey world as a fan, the broadcasts don't really favor fans that want to learn more about the game up beyond the stats and beyond very basic surface level analysis. Um, so what we want to do here on Hosers every week, maybe have a little segment, maybe every week or whatever, have a segment called Coach Carter. Carter is going to go through some questions that I have, and I'm playing the fan and playing someone that's new to hockey, and again a role I don't want to dismiss in my like reputation or anything like that. But I have questions about hockey plays and hockey tactics, and I think we should go through this together and learn. Um,
Learning's key. Yeah, this is growth.
yeah,
Um,
This is growth. I love
Carter.
that.
Yeah, Carter, do you want to share your screen?
yeah, do you want to see if this, we can see if this works for
I mean, it
sure.
should
Share
hopefully.
screen.
And I can
Um,
make this real for all of you as someone who has done many sessions with Carter around building plays, building tactics, and all the X's and O's. You know that you're in for a bad time if he starts yelling, "This isn't fucking Timbits hockey." So let's just get that out of the way
oh
early.
yeah.
That is one of Carter's famous lines. So I beat you to the punch, Carter.
Sorry,
Give me
buddy.
okay. I think it's on the screen now. I'm
Can you
sorry
see
for
this all
audio
right?
listeners, but yeah, we're good. What's on the screen?
Oh, nice. Wicked.
Um, so I had a question. I think I had a question most fans might not think about a whole lot, but I think it'd be interesting to know what when they're talking about breakouts. What's a breakout?
What's a breakout?
Yeah, what's a
Well,
breakout?
so for me, and Chris beat me to Timbits hockey, there's the easiest breakout. Well, the breakout in like bare bones is like how do you get the puck out of your end, right? Like Will was saying, you can't score if you don't have the puck, and honestly, that all starts in how you can leave your zone, and how you can leave it either in a controlled way or in an uncontrolled way where you get control after you leave the zone as well. So there's like a controlled exit where there's you're passing or you're carrying the puck over your blue line. And there's a bit more of an uncontrolled exit that obviously has some variables that you can't always capitalize on, but it's glassing out hockey, right? Or dumping the puck out, which is like you shoot the puck either off the glass or off the boards or up some sort of center of the ice in hopes that your set plays will get that puck back for you in the neutral zone or just over their blue line, right? And so breakout really bare bones is how you get out of your zone so you can get the puck to score, right?
So that's the purpose of the breakout. Great. What is everyone's role? So say it's 5-on-5. So what are the two defensemen and even the goalie, and the three forwards kind of role in a typical breakout? Like what would we expect to see?
Do you want me to like draw you my like
Yeah.
ideal breakout? Like my
I
in
mean,
perfect
what's
world,
like
this is
what?
my breakout.
I mean, what's an example of like a very basic, like the first breakout people learn? What's like that kind of
First
play?
break. So you start with like obviously you have your. So I'm getting new at this here. I'm going to let's
You're
go
doing great,
cones
honey.
here. We'll go
Are the
cones.
cones
This is one.
defenseman?
Yeah, this is your defenseman here, and then this is your defenseman here, right? Like obviously you have your two cones, and one never leaves the front of the net, right? Like as soon as you like kind of give up control of your home base, that's when bad shit happens. So these guys can either flow like these guys are mobile. It's either this guy stays the entire time and this defenseman floats, or they're reading the play and they're adapting to it, and then this play defenseman comes here and then this defenseman goes here, right? But they're always generally in an area where one's protecting the front of the net and keeping eyes back here, and one's kind of playing with the zone in the corners, because we'll see either this episode or later when we get into more offensive plays, a lot of the offensive stuff that happens is with that cycle here and generating that motion, right? So you have your two defensemen there. We'll have the tires be the
I mean,
forwards. We'll have them be the
I see
wheels.
F1 right there. There's a
Oh, oh, sweet. Okay, so here, let's undo and undo. Let's go. D1 is right here. I
Coaching.
told you we're new at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. D2's down here. So we'll have F1 be our centerman, okay? And I like to see the game as your centerman being your third defenseman. Um, as, like they're deep. They're not like I don't really like the centerman just to kind of hang out and deal with what's here. Like they're that defenseman support right here, right? And then if we're going to some more forwards here, we're going to have forward two. We're going to have a forward off the boards here. And so obviously I'm favoring one side of the ice for this breakout. And then we have our forward three over here on the half wall, right? And then this is kind of like what it should look like when you're starting your breakout. And then, so we'll get the puck. Let's say D2 has the puck, all right? So D2 is going to get control of the puck and they're going to skate up around the net. I like a defenseman that can kind of break up and bring the puck tight this way. A lot of congestion happens along the boards, and that's where I use like my Timbits hockey. And you see a lot of players that aren't used to using the center of the ice. They kind of flow with the congestion of the boards, and then they go in areas where, like it's funny. They're very one track, and they think, okay, I just have to go up the boards because it's safe, but up the boards has 9 jerseys, right? So I like the defenseman to go up this way. I like this forward here, okay, in the second part of the breakout, or this is like another part here. They kind of bring the defenseman off the boards, and then they kind of go back to the boards and start to skate down the ice. And then this forward here, they're going like this and like this, okay? And then this centerman right here, what they're doing is they're getting nice and low and they're getting that first pass, right? And so that defenseman is hitting that forward right here with that first pass. And then this centerman can start to carry, right? And then right now he's got a couple of options as he starts to skate up, because the defensemen have started to go with these forwards who are starting to break out the zone once they have a bit more of a controlled entry. So what they do is they start to move with them, and he's got two options. He's got this forward here or this forward here. Perfect scenario, you get a nice big, well, after he skates a bit more, you have a nice big pass that you can give over to this forward right here or to this forward right here, right? So this is, there's kind of two things that I like to see. I like to see one pass before you leave your zone. The longer you hold the puck in your zone, the more time you're going to allow for other players to draw in on you, and create some friction and trouble for yourself, especially teams that play 2-3 on the puck in the offensive zone. So the quicker that you can get the puck off your stick, the better. But the big thing here is this: like the defenseman will start it and drive it. That center will swoop nice and low and pick it up, and they'll start to quarterback the play as it goes over the blue line. And then we have two options here. So it's either going to this forward who can either carry it in, or they can dump it in and ring it around like a lot of like dump and chase hockey works, right? Or what they can do is they can give it to this forward here, who can either pass it to this forward, or they can skate in with it as well, right? And so that's what, like I said, you're favoring one side, you're almost drawing away from it and then going back to the side that you're favoring, to start up your breakout, because that's where everyone's going down the ice and everyone's busting to, right? And so I think this, in my ideal world, this is my breakout. I like to see one pass. I like to see it low, in the zone, and I like to see the next pass. Like if it gives you the option to go either glass and out here, or it gives you the option to carry it out in a controlled way, right? So getting that one pass to a forward who's got momentum coming up the ice is a really good way to start for me. And it replicates, like, this is why, like, Chris and I, when we coach, we do that Canada Cup drill to start, because it's like this kind of that drill really replicates the start of the breakout, right? Like that forward coming nice and low and getting that controlled pass, because this end of the ice here is generally, once these two forwards have left, those defensemen have left with them, right? And so this end of the ice is pretty open by the time the play starts to move down, other than the checking forward. So this defenseman here, what they can do is ideally they give the pass here, but they also have that other option in the forward if they really want to hit him, right? And so that's why I really like the defenseman coming up more towards the center of the ice rather than along the boards, because he's got more options if he can see left and right equally, rather than coming up and skating all the way up one side like this. And then if he's right here, he's really got an option to feed it up forward to his ass, or he's going to really hit something, like he's going to hit a Hail Mary dream play here that likely will get clogged up in this neutral zone, right?
Perfect. Thank you. What should we really be looking out for? So say like in the mind of a fan, and say like you haven't been watching hockey all your life and haven't played
Yeah.
it at all. What should you really look at in the NHL level? Like, when should we see these plays? Like, dumb it down as
Um,
much as you can.
that, as much as you can.
Well, I mean, not
The,
like
the
crazy.
the big, like, you really want, like, you want to see the breakout every time that you have the puck in your end, right? Like it's like you can't score from your end, um, and you see a lot of teams get, like, you when you see the clock go up over a minute 30, creeping in on 2 minutes. That's like the TV does that for a reason, because that's when you're really in trouble, when you're trapped in your end for that long, right? So you really just want to get the puck. You want to spend as little time as possible in your own end. So that's when you're going to want to see these plays, is as soon as you get in your end with the puck, or the puck goes in your end and you get that control, how can you turn it right back around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not going to want to spend a minute and a half in your end trying to find the perfect pass out, right? That's why I'm saying, like, the glassing out, or floating it up some sort of center of the ice is better than nothing at all, because at least it's turning it out of your end, right? And so you're going to want to see a breakout the moment the puck gets in your end, right?
And would you obviously we don't have NHL coaching experience, so would you say that breakouts are the most like unimprovised plays in the NHL? Like we see like some like improvisation in the offensive zone and like possession there.
Yeah.
Would you say like you said, immediately when the defenseman gets a puck behind the net, their own net, then it's just like an automatic thing, or it's more like kind of improvisation with what they see in the defensive coverage and the forecheck and everything like that?
Yeah, like if you think about it, like if you think of football, like you're the like that D2 right there, they're your quarterback, right? And there really isn't any improvisation other than who's your open target, right? And so like you see it all the time, and that's how it always starts. And you always see the one defenseman behind the net, and he's looking like, do I go left, do I go right? And it's like you see that time and time again in the NHL, and what they're deciding is what target they're going to hit on their way out. And so every team has a set play and who they're going to hit and how they're going to hit them. And then when all else fails, you see that defenseman skate up and put it off the glass and out, right? But that's still a play by design. So if that defenseman has no options from behind the net, what they're going to do is they're going to skate up here, and they're going to toss something off the glass right here that someone can touch and pick up here, because this forward is already left and is already skating this way, and he's skating into a zone where he can pick up the puck here. And then this forward is already skating this way, and he's in a zone where he can pick up the puck as well. And then you have this forward who's busting up the middle as well. So everyone's funneling into that all else fails glass and out play, right?
The other
Makes
thing that
sense.
I would just add, Carter, is that the best teams have a dynamic enough, and I use the word dynamic just because of the way that the players are forced to think in those moments, to be able to change things, or like make a decision that another player will pick up on, right? So the breakout may not be exactly the same every single time. There's going to be some slight changes depending on who's defending it, but the best teams have a dynamic um, kind of counteraction for a breakout so that they can clog it up in the neutral zone as soon as it gets out of the other team's zone. But
Yeah.
also enough of a instinct with chemistry and things like that that are going to allow for a little bit of nuance in some of those moments as well. And I know it sounds really stupid. I was just thinking about this the other day. I actually learned all of these breakouts from, I mean, I learned a lot of it from Carter and from coaching over the years. But as silly as this might sound, I learned the most about tactics and breakouts and all that stuff from NHL video games. And I know
Oh
that
yeah,
sounds
it's
crazy, but
well
when
because
you're
they have their
playing,
set routes that they skate in those, like their computer generated routes, right? That are based off of real life.
but you're also able to like, okay, I run my my breakout from behind the net. Behind the net is a strategy in every NHL game I've ever played since I was 10. I run behind the net, and that's a breakout that Carter and I have both liked over the years as well, right? So it's, if you're interested in this type of stuff, like, yeah, you don't have to necessarily look very far than the PlayStation that's plugged into your TV and the game that you might play at home once in a while with your friends and family, right?
I mean,
And
don't tell. We're gonna have these videos every week, so they should keep on coming back. We're
yeah,
not playing some video game or whatever for free. But
but yeah, I
I
think the
digress.
like I think the like the improvisation or like the like adapting to the game. Like I think every team, like I don't want to talk out of my ass here, but every team has a strong side breakout, a weak side breakout,
Yeah.
and a glass and out breakout. Like it's, I think they like that's one of the like the breakout is one of the things that like has never like well it's changed in recent years, like in feeding the puck back and then back up the ice. Like you see guys like come out through the neutral zone, they'll pass it back, they'll regroup, and they'll go back out. So you'll see kind of a double hit breakout where they'll get over their blue line, they'll feed it back, and they'll do a neutral zone sweep, and then they'll almost double break out after the broom ball line. But that's like really complicated hockey, and you really see that a lot when you have an extra skater and you have the luxury of that. Some teams do it 5-on-5, but I would say every team they have a breakout for their strong side, so they'll favor one side of the ice, and they'll have like a four-guy breakout with one guy flying, or they'll have like a weak side breakout where you're going to see them move more evenly up the ice, and then you have the glass and out breakout, and the improvisation and the adapting comes from that defenseman or that quarterback who has the puck to start the breakout. Right, everybody else knows exactly where they need to be and why they need to be there, and it's funny. Like Chris and I, when we were when we were trying to nail a few points home last year, like there's zones of the ice that people stay in, right? And so like if you really simplify the game down, like these are your zones of the ice, right? So you have really clear areas that are go and no go, and the NHL really, you see, if you really watch these players, you don't see a lot of guys like, if you see like your wingers here, like this is like this zone right here is where I like to see the wingers, right? And this zone is where you like to see the wingers. Um, it in the off, I'll go offensive zone here. This is the offensive zone for the wingers. So let's get rid of these two here, and so the wingers will really play in this world here, and they play in that world in the breakout and in the offensive zone, right? The centerman, their whole job is this kind of center torpedo of the ice, and then the defenseman, you can draw a line right here, and they don't really go deeper than that in their end. And so you have defenseman one covering this whole section of the ice, and defenseman two covering this whole section of the ice. So if we break that down into a breakout, this defenseman right here, he'll come up and he'll skate up here. His job of the ice now is all of this right here, right? And so he covers all of this, and then this defenseman will go to cover all of this. This forward, what they're doing is they're coming in and they're breaking down this center, and then what they do is they come and they'll come here, and then they'll start to drive the net, right? And this forward's going to skate up the gun, and they're going to stay in the slot, and this forward's going to come up here, and they're going to skate down, and they're going to go and float to the net this way, right? And so there's Like you don't see a lot of crossing, and a lot of the neutral zone pickups and reading that you're seeing is this for right here, the centerman that kind of has the liberty to skate kind of around this zone. He's the one who's kind of picking up all that slack in the neutral zone, right? But if you break it down like really bare bones, and every NHL team will follow this, or any like really big hockey players who know what they're doing will follow those zones of the ice and how they're breaking out, unless they need to be extremely adaptive to somebody who's like really strong on one side. The wing will kind of extend to here, but they stay to their zones for the breakout because hockey is a very controlled and positional game, right? And so as soon as you start to veer off of this zone, you have somebody in this zone who's a threat with the puck and without the puck, right?
Perfect. I think that's a great end for our first segment of Coach Carter. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But
you didn't like it, huh?
No, I loved it. But it will have to be a video, definitely, for people.
I'm sold.
Yeah,
I'm in.
There you go.
There it is.
Love it.
Scouting approved.
You got one fan
this,
there.
This is just like the very, very like bare bones. Like
that's what we need,
like,
though. Like I have been saying like the whole
people have been asking for it.
Like
yeah,
I've watched hockey my whole life, and it's just like, and you might hear these terms of breakout and everything like that, but you never go into it. Like you could just like, unlike every sport, like obviously football is the most like extreme example of like the fan knows what a nickel is, like a nickel formation, like you know what that looks like. But like in basketball too, and it's getting more like fans and analysis and bloggers all know about tactics and box and ones and all this stuff, and they could talk about it. But I feel like hockey's just missing that completely, and it might be the broadcaster's fault of trying to like expand to the biggest area of fan, or it might just be an interest, and it feels like there's like a gatekeeper aspect.
There's been no like John Madden in the NHL that's like really.
I mean, it's supposed to be Don Cherry, but he was just yelling about something else. But
I thought it was Bucci Grass.
but it's like you like the people don't look at the ice as a grid like the NFL looks at the field as a grid, right? And it's unless you're there watching the game and you understand the size of the ice and like the positional importance, you can't really evaluate it like a grid, like as a fan, right? Like you love the big hits, you love the shots, you love the dangle, like it's fast and it's exciting. It's like the fastest game in the world, right? And so it's hard to break it down to a grid like that, but that's how these teams are doing it when they're starting to set up their big hits and their big plays and everything like that. Like they're playing the ice like a football field, right? And I think it's exciting to start to break it down and think about it this way, or at least talk about it this way, right? Because it's really important, and it's a lot more structured of a game than people think it is.
Yeah, that's great. I think